William George Aarons was an American convicted of murder, who confessed to 3 murders in 1946. Aarons was called the Lipstick Killer, after a notorious message scrawled in lipstick at a crime scene. At the time of his death, Aarons was reputedly Chicago's longest-serving prisoner, having spent 65 years in prison. On June 5, 1945, 43-year-old Josephine Ross was found dead in her apartment at 4108 North Kenmore Avenue, Chicago. She had been repeatedly stabbed, and her head was wrapped in a dress. She was presumed to have surprised an intruder, who then killed her. Dark hairs were found clutched in Ross' hand, indicating that she had struggled with the intruder before she was killed. Her fiancé had an alibi, as did her former boyfriends and ex-husbands, and police had no other suspects. They looked for a dark-complexioned man, who was reported loitering at the apartment or running from the scene, but were unable to identify or locate him. On December 10, 1945, Frances Brown, a divorced woman, was discovered with a knife lodged in her neck and bullet wound to the head in her apartment at 3941 North Pine Grove Avenue, Chicago. A cleaning woman heard a radio playing loudly and noted Brown's partly open door. Brown had been savagely stabbed, and authorities thought that a burglar had been discovered or interrupted. No valuables were taken, but someone had written a message in lipstick on the wall of Brown's apartment. It read, "For heaven's sake catch me before I kill more, I cannot control myself." Police found a bloody fingerprint smudge on the door jamb of the entrance door. Also, there was a possible eyewitness to the killer's escape. An eyewitness, George Weinberg, heard gunshots at about 4 a.m. According to John Derrick, the night clerk stationed in the lobby of the building, a nervous man of 35 to 40 years old and weighing approximately 140 pounds got off the elevator, fumbled for the door to the street and left. 4 days after the murder, the Chicago police announced they had reason to believe the killer was a woman. On January 7, 1946, 6-year-old Suzanne Degnan was discovered missing from her first-floor bedroom in Edgewater, Chicago. Police found a ladder outside the girl's window and a ransom note. Acting on an anonymous tip, police discovered Suzanne's head in a sewer block from the Degnan residence, her right leg in a catch basin, her torso in another storm drain, and her left leg in another drain. Her arms were found a month later in another sewer dot. Blood was found in the drains of laundry tubs in the basement laundry room of a nearby apartment building. Police questioned hundreds of people, gave polygraph examinations to about 170, and several times claimed to have captured the killer, though all were eventually released. In February 1946, Suzanne Degnan's arms were found by sewer workers about a half-mile from her home, after her remains had already been interred. By April, some 370 suspects were questioned and cleared. By this time, the press was taking an increasingly critical tone as to how the police were handling the Degnan investigation. On June 26, 1946, 17-year-old William Aarons was arrested on attempted burglary charges when neighbor Richard O'Gorman saw him breaking into an apartment. As Aarons fled, the building's janitor, Francis Hanley, along with O'Gorman, pursued him and blocked his path out of the building. However, Aarons allegedly pointed the gun he was carrying at the men, saying, "Let me get out, or I'll let you have it in the guts." The janitor and the neighbor ceased their pursuit. Aarons made his way to a nearby building to lie low, but a resident spotted him and called the police. As Aarons attempted to escape down a staircase, officers Tiffin Constant and William Owens closed in, one at each end of the staircase. Trapped, Aarons brandished a revolver, perhaps pointing the barrel at one officer. Some reports state that he actually pulled the trigger, but the gun misfired. In the police account, Aarons charged them after his gun misfired twice. In Aarons's version, he turned and attempted to run after bluffing with the gun, and the cops charged him. A scuffle resulted that ended only when Abner Cunningham, an off-duty policeman, dropped 3 clay flower pots on Aarons's head, one at a time, from the top of the stairs, rendering him unconscious. According to Aarons, he remembered drifting into unconsciousness under questioning. The police had taken him to Bridewell Hospital, which was adjacent to the Cook County Jail. The questioning became more violent. Ahrens later said he was interrogated around the clock for 6 consecutive days, being beaten by police, and not allowed to eat or drink. He was not allowed to see his parents for 4 days. He was also refused the opportunity to speak to a lawyer for 6 days. 2 psychiatrists, Drs. Haynes and Roy Grinker, gave Ahrens sodium pentothal without a warrant and without Ahrens's or his parents' consent, and interrogated him for 3 hours. Under the influence of the drug, authorities claimed Ahrens spoke of an alternate personality named George, who had actually committed the murders. Ahrens claimed that he recalled little of the drug-induced interrogation, and that when police asked for George's last name he said he couldn't remember, but that it was a murmuring name. Police translated this to Merman, and the media later dramatized it to Murder Man. What Ahrens actually said is in dispute, as the original transcript has disappeared. In 1952, Dr. Grinker revealed that Ahrens had never implicated himself in any of the killings. On his 5th day in custody, Ahrens was given a lumbar puncture without anesthesia. Moments later, Ahrens was driven to police headquarters for a polygraph test. They tried for a few minutes to administer the test, but it was rescheduled for several days later after they found him to be in too much pain to cooperate. When the polygraph was administered, authorities, including State's Attorney William Toohey, announced that the results were inconclusive. On July 2, 1946, he was transferred to the Cook County Jail, where he was placed in the infirmary to recover. Following his arrest, his parents and younger brother changed their last name to Hill. On August 7, 1946, Ahrens confessed to the murders before the court. Prompted by the prosecutors, Ahrens reenacted his crime in the Degnan home. On the night of the 4th of September, he tried to commit suicide but was discovered by the guards. He later revealed that despair had led him to attempt suicide. He was sentenced to 3 life terms. When asked by Sheriff Michael Mulcahy if the girl had suffered, Ahrens replied that he did not know, he had not murdered her. He further requested Mulcahy to tell the girl's father to take care of his other daughter, as the killer was still out there. Immediately after his sentencing, William Ahrens recanted his confession. He was housed at Stateville Prison in Joliet, Illinois till 1975, and then moved to the minimum security Vienna Correctional Center in Vienna, Illinois. In 1988, he requested to be transferred to the Dixon Correctional Center Minimum Security Prison in Dixon, Illinois. Throughout his life, he continued his unsuccessful efforts to gain clemency. He died on March 5, 2012 due to complications caused by diabetes, at the University of Illinois Medical Center.